Hello everyone. Well, today I'm going to be having a closer look at this Bissell Powerglide lift-off upright bagless vacuum cleaner. Now I got this for an absolute bargain price direct from Bissell's website. With a discount code it cost me £62.99 delivered. That's pounds sterling. So for that sort of price I thought I'll give it a go. Let's see what this Bissell's like, because it can retail for well over £200. So I thought, well, I don't think I'll try it for that price, but for £63 I thought I can't go wrong, or can I? Well, we'll soon see when I finish the review. What makes the lift off a little bit different to some other bagless cleaners is it has a lift off section, so you can carry it up the stairs, carry it outside to your car and do those above floor jobs that are a bit difficult with an upright cleaner when you've got the hose attached. Can be a bit awkward sometimes, but with the lift off canister, so all I have to do is press this lift off button here, and then this rather bulky and heavy canister comes off. The canister houses the suction motor under the dirt bin. It's a cyclonic bagless machine, and you've also got the onboard hose that stretches. You've got a suction regulator and a handle, but the tools you need for the lift-off pod are actually on the back of the base unit, which is a bit inconvenient. You'd think really that the tools, which you only use with the lift-off pod, should be located somewhere on the lift-off pod, so when you're taking the pod away from the base unit you're not thinking, where are my tools? This particular model is the base version, so it only comes with these tools here. You can get a PET version that also comes with a rotating turbo brush. So these are the tools you get with the Powerglide lift-off. Get a short extension tube, and housed inside that is quite a nice long crevice tool. And the only other tool you get is this 2-in-1 brush. So like this, it's a dusting brush, fairly soft bristles, and that brush comes off to reveal a shorter, stiffer brush underneath, and that's suitable for doing your upholstery, your stairs as well, inside your car seats. Whereas the top brush, being more softer and delicate brush, is more suitable for doing maybe your curtains or your lampshades, your bookshelves, or your books. If you've got books, tops of your books, they often get dusty, don't they? So with one of these tools you can brush and suck the dust away. Of course the crevice tool, very useful for the nooks and crannies. You can extend the reach of the machine, so it's a reasonable length that, so that should reach up high, doing your cobwebs, reach down low, doing around your skirting boards, in between say your fridge and the wall, or your other appliances in the kitchen. That will help get all those dust bunnies. There's a suction regulator, as I said before. The suction regulator works with the hose, but it also works when you have the machine in upright mode, because you can reduce the suction at the cleaning head by opening this vent here. So that's the tools and the lift-off pod. So like I say, there's only one tool storage on the back of this machine, and that just fits that in. There is no provision anywhere to fit this nozzle, although there is another bracket on the top here which would normally house the turbo nozzle on the PET version, but only one of these brackets was supplied. If Bissell had supplied two of these, then I could have connected that somehow. I think that would have fitted on board like that, so that would have been useful if there was two clips, but with this model you only get one, and there's no way of putting this on. It won't fit on the top, it doesn't fit on the bottom. The only way this would fit in, would it fit in here? Yes. So it's sort of, if you don't use the crevice tool as much, you can actually store that brush on board. But like I say, it's stored on the base unit and not on the pod. And when you're taking the pod away from the base unit and you're wanting another cleaning tool, you've got to go back to the base unit to get them, so a little bit inconvenient. Also, there's no swivel on the hose. Apart from this end there is, but on the end that it enters the pod it doesn't swivel. But at least you have one swivel, so it might tangle up, but it's at least one swivel end enables you to detangle it should you have to. So that all fits neatly on board, the hose, and then it just clicks securely into place. Right, I'll just take you through the main unit and then we'll do some demonstrations. So here we have it, the Bissell Powerglide lift-off base, I believe they call it, as opposed to the PET version that is more or less the same as this, although instead of having the red colour scheme it is blue and it comes supplied with a pet hair turbo brush. So starting from the top of the machine, we've got a nice comfortable looped handle which is adjustable, but just two settings. You press this button here and you can push the handle down if you need to store it in a lower cupboard, or if you're shorter and would prefer a shorter handle height. But that is the handle height for normal use. You've also got a little clip at the top here behind the handle. Now that's used to hold the cable out of the way, because the cable does exit from the machine low down, and obviously the cable comes out of the main removable pod. But when you're using it in upright mode, to keep the cable out of the way of the rotating brush, you just clip it through there. Working way down, this is the button you press to release the removable canister. We've got here a button to remove the bin. Just press that and the bin comes free. And also, for some reason, so does the filter. Tried to cover that up, but it didn't work. There we are. I don't think I've clicked it in properly. Let's see. That's it. Well, that is in. Just try that again. See if that was a fluke. It's the first time that's done it, actually. So, take two. Press the button to empty the bin. The bin comes free. Actually, yes, if I was to remove the bin in a certain way, because there's a little tab. Now this is dirt here from, I've used it very briefly. This is already the dirt that's accumulated on the top pre-motor filter. So that's something to look out for. This is the little tab you pull up to remove the whole filter unit. And it does correspond, that tab corresponds with a hole on the bottom of the bin. So, because you pull that tab to remove the filter, I'm not surprised that sometimes when you remove the bin you could, yes, look at that, the filter does come up, so a little design flaw there. It depends on the way you remove it, I think. Let's put my foot on the base of it so it's not jiggling about. If you pull it upwards you should be alright, but if you remove it more like that, then the filter could come free. So that's just a little niggle that I've just discovered. Also at the top here you have your two switches, your main power switch and your brush switch. Because this is a twin motored cleaner, you have the suction motor in here and there's also a separate electric motor in the base where the brush is. You can control these both independently. So obviously when you're using the pod on its own, the brush button won't have any effect anyway because it's not connected to the unit. But when you're cleaning hard floors, you don't really want the brush rotating because it can scatter the dirt. So when you're cleaning, you make sure the brush is off and on for hard floors, and on for carpets. And when the brush is on, there's a little, it's very hard to see unless it's illuminated, but there is a symbol of a brush roll here. So when the brush roll is on and rotating, that will light up. So you'd only use that, like I say, for carpets, and you'd switch it off for your hard floors. Also, when the machine is in the upright position, when the suction unit is attached to the base, the brushes don't rotate anyway. They only rotate when you recline the handle, and of course if the brush is switched on here. A bit lower down we've got your flex, and it's quite a short flex. I use this downstairs in a fairly large living room, and I would have to change sockets in that one room, which is quite inconvenient. It's about 6 meters the flex on here. An extra 2 meters would have been nice, but a 10-meter flex would have been even better. And there is enough room on these hooks. They're quite good hooks. There's plenty of room on there for Bissell to have put a little bit more flex. And also, of course, when using it in lift away mode, it does restrict you a bit, especially if you want to clean the car or something. You might have to use an extension lead. So to access the cable, there's one hook that turns down at the top, and you've got that little clip there that holds the plug safely onto the rest, so it's not doesn't untangle, sorry, it doesn't go like that when you're carrying it and you trip over it. Of course, being a UK version, our American friends would not recognise that sort of plug. That is our UK plug, which is a very good design actually. Obviously a lot more bulky than the two-pronged plugs you get in many parts of the world, but it has many safety features built in. That's the earth pin. One of these is the live. I can't see through my viewfinder if it says. Yes, that's the live pin there. That's the neutral pin, and just inside there is a replaceable fuse. It looks like it's got I don't know if that's a 3 or a 13 amp. I can see a 3, but it could be 13 amp. The pins are insulated as well. What happens when you plug this in, you see that that is longer than the earth and neutral. And on UK sockets they have covers just to prevent anyone poking anything in. So when you plug it into a UK socket, a little shutter comes up to open up the holes for that. And of course this is moulded on. In the old days we had to buy our own plugs and fit them ourselves. Can you imagine that? Can't remember when that law was passed, it's quite a long time ago. But before there was a law saying every domestic appliance should have a fitted plug, very seldom did you buy. A few models did have fitted plugs, and it was a selling point saying we've got a fitted plug, but you'd have to buy your own plug and fit it yourself. And if you don't fit it properly, that could be a little bit dangerous, so that's why that law was changed, which is a good thing. So, moving along, like I showed you at the back, the only place to store the extension tube and the crevice tool is here, and with a bracket that would have been used for the power brush. But like I say, it would have been nice to have another one of these clips here to store the other tool. Onboard hose with a handle, that's where it enters to into the machine to provide suction for the base. So like I say, the suction can be reduced when you've got it in upright mode by opening and closing that vent there. There's 2 wheels on the back. I expect there'll be wheels underneath as well. So that's it. I think I haven't shown you the filters. I showed you the filters in the unboxing video, made a right pig's ear of it. Didn't notice that there was a pleated heifer. Anyway, this is the filter access. Just lift this off. So, and I can also see little bits of sand or grit already on that filter. Both these filters are washable. This one, this foam filter, you can wash that, and this one too. You can wash that, or if it's not too dirty you can tap it on a hard surface. Motor's located under there. This is your final filter, your exhaust filter, which is HEPA. That is not washable, and it isn't black because it's had a lot of use. That was the colour I got it when it was brand new. I'm not sure if that is like a carbon coating to help prevent odours, I'm not sure, but it isn't black due to the carbon dust from the motor. That's the colour it was. But that is not washable, you have to replace that. And you can just see part of the motor there. You can see the carbon brushes, just one there, and there'll be another one on either side. Just can't really see much about the motor. This is class 155. So that actually, to be honest, what is to stop anyone or a kiddie being a bit inquisitive, taking the filter off and poking about with a screwdriver? You know, there'd be live parts in there. So, it's a bit... Obviously they need to vent it, but they could have done something different to that. Anyway, it's not that likely, but you know how inquisitive some children are. You want to see how things work. I know I did as a kid, and I did have a couple of electric shocks. Is that the right way? Let me see. Perhaps it's that way. I did have a couple of electric shocks as a child, but that taught me not to do it again. It doesn't seem to clip in very securely, that actually. But I suppose, not sure if the filter cover holds it in place. Right, there we go. The one word I described this, and it's a word I described it when I was giving a quick look over when I unboxed it, is clunky. It is not sleek and easy to push. Well, it isn't so bad when you're using it, but it is a little bit... Oh, it's very heavy. I wasn't expecting the weight, really. Anyway, here's the bare bones of the unit. This is what's left behind when you take the lift-off suction unit away to do your stairs, etc. So, if I recline the handle, and it's got the obligatory footprint just on one side. Didn't really notice that before. It isn't sort of symmetrical as such. This bit sticks out. So you put your foot, or in my case my knee, on that side to recline the handle. You can see here, that's obviously the hole where all the dirt will come up. The hose will actually attach, well, not the hose, but the suction from the hose will be through that. You've got your little connector here, which provides power from the suction unit. The electrical power is carried into the motor, which is inside there. Now, this is the swivel mechanism, such as it is. You can see there's an internal see-through hose there. It's not very responsive. Now it goes up and down, and that moves, but that's all it moves. It does not swivel very well at all, this machine. And when I was just using it briefly, I was hardly using the swivel motion. I was just using it as a conventional upright, back, forth, and it was fine like that. But some machines I've used with this swivel technology, they're easier to swivel, and it makes you want to swivel around with them. And you know, especially the Vax Air cordless I've used, that's a very good swivel. The Miele S7, the Hoover Globe, the Sebo Felix, they've all got a better swivel action than this. This is very restrictive, and it's just not smooth. Look, you know, look at that. Not smooth at all. Let's turn the cleaner over and we'll have a look at the base. I don't know why, but Bissell have decided to put clear plastic here. There's nothing really to see. Why they need it to be clear, I'm not sure. You can see there's some connections there. I think that possibly goes to the micro switch. There will be a switch to turn the brush roll on and off. Obviously, you know, like I said, when it's in the upright position, the brush roll will be off, and there will be a little switch located somewhere in here that will turn the power off when the handle's in the upright position. There, I believe the motor is located somewhere in there, the motor for the brush. Here is the brush roll. It's quite an aggressive brush roll, and you do get that rumbling noise on the carpet. So it does seem like it is doing some beating as well as sweeping. Obviously there's no beater bars, but the actual vibration of the brush does help to beat the carpet. We'll see that on the demo. I'll put some salt down and see if that does bounce up out of the pile. Apart from the two wheels at the back, you've got two smaller wheels at the front. And like I pointed out in the unboxing, the edge cleaning isn't great. You've got some suction channels here. The brush doesn't go very close to the edge, and on this side where you have the belt, you've no chance really of getting very close to the edge at all. It might suck in a few bits, but that's well over an inch. There are a couple of small, looks like about 3 centimeters actually, so maybe an inch and a half of uncleaned space there. You can actually replace the belt and the brush roll on this. Lots of screws to undo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws you have to undo, but at least you can with this model. You can replace the brush and you can replace the belt. So that is good. You're not having to buy a new machine if your belt goes, or a new cleaning head like you do with some. You've got your clear window so you can see the brush roll rotating, but believe you me, you can feel when it's rotating. If you can't see it, you do know. It's not only can you hear the motor, but you can feel the vibration when you're using it in upright mode. This will do claim dual edge cleaning, but so do a lot of manufacturers, but I can't see it being very good for edge cleaning. They could have at least put some static brushes coming out, and that might have helped sweep the dirt from the side into the suction path a bit better. Just similar to their upright carpet washers that have the edge sweep brushes, and there's some Auric uprights have those, but there's nothing here. There is a sort of a bumper. I don't know if that's moulded into this unit, but it does feel rubbery. That's plastic, and that does have a more rubbery feel to it. So there's a little bumper along the bottom. But all in all, it seems fairly sturdy. But sturdy also in this case means heavy. Considering a similar machine with this sort of principle, the Morphy Richards lift away, and obviously the Shark lift away, has a much lighter suction unit than this, and it's more compact. So yes, it's more convenient, I suppose, to hold the suction unit to do your stairs than to try and use the whole machine, but it's still quite heavy. And obviously other upright cleaners that don't have the lift off compensate by having a hose that will reach up the stairs. Anyway, that's the overview of the vacuum cleaner. I'm going to get my carrier bag of crud and spread a lot of dirt on this carpet. I'll add a bit of salt so we can see the agitation, and we'll give it a performance rating. Right, a familiar sight for my subscribers and regular viewers. Basically the same dirt that I keep recycling over and over again. I don't know if I've ever emptied the dirt into my dustbin, not for quite some time. I save it up for these demonstrations. So anyway, usual stuff: pet hair, carpet fibres, bits of paper, there's couscous, rice, and I've added some salt over the top of that just to see how the Bissell Powerglide lift-off deals with the finer particles as well as the more bulky surface litter. Right, we're going to do the same tried and tested method, front and back and forth through the middle of this mess, and we'll compare the cleaned path with the uncleaned path. The brush roll is switched on, so when I recline the machine it will automatically rotate. It almost went away with itself then. Now, it's not perfect. Excuse the creaky floorboards. There are some lines here. That's unfortunately left by the lines in the base plate of the cleaner. And a few bits. The couscous has sort of escaped the path. But I don't know if you caught it from the shot I've done here, but I could see the particles, the couscous and the rice was really bouncing off the pile. So obviously another quick whiz over that and that's all gone. So that isn't bad. It's very aggressive, as a lot of American manufactured, well not manufactured, obviously it's made in China, but a lot of American brands have aggressive brush rolls, far more aggressive than we tend to get in the UK now. The Maytag I tested on this very same carpet a few weeks ago had a similar effect, but I think this Bissell even more so, to be honest. So as from this way I'm looking at it now, I can see fine lines where it hasn't touched, but that's unfortunately the design of the brush roll, where it's not going to brush. There are gaps between the brushes. If it was a continuous brush without the gaps, you wouldn't get this. And I believe, the pictures I've seen anyway, of the new Vax uprights coming onto the market shortly, they have redesigned the brush roll on their very popular Air uprights, and it looks like it's one continuous brush, spiral brushes, but there's no gaps. So you shouldn't get this sort of effect. But with normal use, you're not cleaning up this sort of mess, you wouldn't notice, and you're going back and forth and you're overlapping to clean, but it's pretty impressive that. Right, let's get some close-up shots. If you didn't catch the particles bouncing up and down, hopefully the next shot will capture that for you. Well, I can't really fault the Bissell Powerglide lift-off's carpet cleaning ability, because it's very, very good. Obviously I've finished cleaning the rest of this carpet that I mucked up. using the machine as you'd normally, back and forth fairly quickly, and it seems to have removed, I nearly said everything, but look, can we see? There, can you see that? One solitary piece of couscous has managed to survive the onslaught of that aggressive brush roll. Next time, you may be sitting pretty now, but the next time you won't be so happy. Apart from that, rogue, there's always one that manages to escape. Always the lucky one this time. But, wow, it is an aggressive cleaner, and it makes me, you know, makes it worth the faults to see that sort of clean. It's a sort of power and vibration that's sorely lacking in many uprights these days. But I can see that being a very effective deep cleaner. What, though, it's not good at is retaining the dust, from what I saw just now. Also, let's see if I can remove this without the whole filter unit. I'll have to be careful, that's it. This, apart from the fact that that, of course, has got dirty very quickly, obviously I put loads of muck down, and maybe that would be like probably about a month's worth of dirt in a normal house. So it's cleaned up a lot in one go. But, and another YouTube reviewer did mention this in my unboxing video for this, he took his back because of this. Apart from the fact that there's dust on that filter, look at all the dust. Now obviously this might not happen so quickly in normal use, when you're just using the machine normally, not putting it through the amount of dirt I've put it through in one go, but eventually that would build up. You know, that's something I can live with. I don't have allergies, but if you have allergies, it's such a shame that this cleaner, I mean, it was an absolute bargain, and I don't know if I would recommend it now. If you don't have allergies and you don't mind a bit of cleaning up, it might be okay for 60 odd pounds, but that's not good, is it? I mean, that is quite a lot of dirt. Even right up to here there's dust. So if I lift out the filter, trying to keep the muck from going anywhere else. Now, the felt type filter has got some dirt on it, but at least it's caught the dirt. But when I remove that, I mean, yes, I don't think anything's got through into the motor. There's some around the edge there, but I do think the filter has stopped that from actually going through into the motor. We'll soon see, because if there's any small particles, they should be on the back of the HEPA filter. Again, it doesn't click in very well. I mean, there's sort of clips here, but it doesn't have that nice satisfying click. It just doesn't hold in place properly. But yeah, apart from, yes, the air that you breathe out of this machine should be fairly clean, because I can't see any small particles that have managed to get right through to the HEPA. Let's have a look underneath. You see, now that is still clean. Now that's fine. It's just before the motor a right mess, so I'm going to have to clean all that up before I do some more tests on this. So that's such a shame. So its main fault seems to be with the cyclonic action and the filtration on this machine, and the fact that this doesn't seem, this HEPA, final HEPA filter does not really give you that satisfying click. If you experience Miele HEPA filters especially, you know, when you put them into the machine, it's a nice click and you know that that is sealed in. But with this one, it does not hold in at all. It's not clicked in. I mean, this gets very warm, so the plastic is going to be pliable as it warms up anyway, so it's not going to click into place. It doesn't click into place. So that needs looking at. Bissell need to improve their cyclonic efficiency of this machine to stop the dust in the first place getting to the filter so quickly. And I mean, I can cope with it being on the filter like that, but where you find it all around and up the body of the machine, no, that's not good. So that's in place. Where does it escape from? I'm not sure, but it's getting out from somewhere. But there's the dirt. So it's a good performer. It's just let down quite badly, I think, by that filter issue. And like I say, it has been pointed out to me, but you know, I don't know if I will send it back. I'm not sure now. You can't say it's actually faulty as such. It works as a vacuum cleaner. It just doesn't filter and keep the dirt in very well. I never like returning stuff, so I'll probably end up I do like the way it picks up though. I do like that agitation it provides, and the agitation you get from this is far better than that Morphy Richards lift away and the Shark. Although the brush roll at first glance looks similar, there's no way that those cleaners provided that sort of aggressive agitation, which does help to vibrate the carpet and release dirt that's trapped at the base. If you've had a carpet for many years and you've only used the suction cleaner on the top of it, you're only cleaning the surface. A lot of finer particles and heavier dirt gets embedded down to the base of the pile with the effect of walking on it, and they're often little sharp particles, and as you walk over them, these sharp particles can cut into the base of the fibres, loosening them, and eventually your carpet will be threadbare. So that's why in the old days, before we had fitted carpets and before we had vacuum cleaners, they used to take the carpets outside, hang them over the washing line and beat them with a carpet beater to release the dirt in the pile. Obviously you can't do that with fitted carpets, so that's why we have to have some sort of beating action to really vibrate the carpet. And as you saw on the earlier part of the video, you could see those particles really bouncing up. So I want to keep the machine just for that. I can make do with the shortcomings of it, but you know, that's a lot of mess that was in the filter, but I have made it pick up rather more than it would in one go. But that would accumulate, I'm sure it would. There's dust on the top of the machine, but that could be from where I initially emptied all the dirt onto the carpet. Anyway, it's I think 4.5. I can't give it 5 for the carpet cleaning, but I think 4.5, and I really did like using it. And it does glide much easier in use, but the swivel mechanism isn't, like I say, it's not very good, but it's adequate. But personally, it could do without it. It would still work. I mean, I can't. It's a bit of a gimmick on this machine because it does not swivel very effectively. Right, that's carpet cleaning. Let's go downstairs and throw some muck on a hard floor and see how it copes with that. Right, now I've put down a load of muck on this laminate floor here. There's more or less what I had to clean up upstairs on the carpet. So there's all the fine particles, couscous, there's the bits of dog hair, etc. So now we're going to see how this Bissell cleans forward and back with the brush all turned off, as it should be when you're cleaning hard floors. That's a pretty good result actually. I'm quite impressed with that. It's made a clean sweep. There was nothing left, certainly in the middle of the path. It has gathered a bit of muck up towards the cleaning head here. But all in all, I think for general use, that's pretty good. Better get the rest of this cleaned up now. So all in all, I'd give it 4 out of 5. It did a pretty good job, but it did snowplow some of the larger particles. But all in all, that was quite good. Before continuing with the demonstration of the lift-off unit, I wanted to give the brush and the brush housing a good clean because it was absolutely caked in muck from the last demonstrations. So I thought it'd be an opportunity for me to show you the belt and the brush roll and how to access it. So first thing you need to do is remove all 8 of these Phillips screws from the base, and then you just lift it from the front, just lift it up and out and put that to one side. I have already cleaned this up, but I thought I would show you. So here we have the brush roll and the belt, which surprisingly is just your regular flat belt. It's not a toothed belt, a regular flat belt that will in time stretch or possibly break and need replacing. So to access the belt you need to remove the brush first, so you just pull it from one side and then release it at the other, and then slide it off the belt. If your belt's broken, obviously it'd be easier to remove. If it's just stretched, you just need to slide it off. So here's the brush roll. So they are very, very stiff brushes, but as you can see, the huge gaps, and that's why it leaves unswept bits of the carpet. Why couldn't they just flare the brushes out, angle each brush? Obviously they need this guard over the brush roll. Now it does help strengthen it, but the main reason that cleaners nowadays have this sort of guard is to stop it pulling, say, a loose rug right into the nozzle. It helps prevent that from happening, but it also stops it brushing along the full width. Some cleaners have got round this, like the Sebo Felix with its power head. They have the brushes either side of these supports, guard, call them what you will. The brushes are angled inwards, so they more or less close the gap, so you're still getting full width brushing. So that's not very good. I mean, yes, as you saw, it is a very aggressive brush roll and it does vibrate the carpet, very much so. But in order to get the full width sweep, they do need to change this. They are very big gaps. This is not just the Bissell cleaner that does this, there's many other models that have this problem. But it is noticeable, more noticeable when you've got a lot of dirt to pick up, less noticeable in normal everyday use. That will be a replaceable part from Bissell, you can buy that, but it's the whole piece you need to replace in one like that. Here's the belt. I won't get it off now, but there is, oh well, I might as well. Might as well, now I've got it open. Here's the brush, the belt. Oh god, it's the belt, not the brush. Here's the belt. That's the brush, that's the belt. And just up here is the motor spindle, where you obviously have to put the new belt on. So you've got to this stage. If you need to replace your belt or your brush, your belt probably long before your brush. When you've got the machine like this, it's a good idea to give it a wipe out, because that will be dirty. Then you need to first locate your new belt on the spindle at the back here. Can be a bit tricky. You just need to thread it through, and it's normally letter side out. If there's any printing on it, normally it will say, often it will say this side out. So you just need to get it past, and now it's located on the spindle. Next thing we need to do is thread this end of the brush into here. So thread the new belt over that, and then this is a tricky part, because obviously a new belt is going to be quite difficult. You've got to stretch it until you locate. Before I do that, just point out that one side is circular and one side is oblong, and the circular side goes the side where the belt is, and obviously the oblong side slots in to the oblong cutout here. So you need to locate this side in first. I find that's the easiest way to do it. Again, doing it this way is a bit tricky. I'd normally be directly in front of this, but because I want to show you. Also, just quickly while I'm here, there's a little felt sort of washer thing here. Well, it's not a washer. It's a, is it a bush or bushing or something? I don't know. Anyway, there's one of those. And make sure that's okay. You need to make sure that hasn't come out, because that fits in there. So once you've done that, we can now stretch the belt and locate the agitator, the round section, into the round section on this side. Then you need to make sure that you line up your oblong section correctly. So that's in. And then before you do anything else, just rotate the brush with your hand to make sure it rotates freely, and it does. Again, when you've got this apart, clean that. You can submerge that in water if you want to, but just give it a clean. And again, there is another sort of felt doobly-doo-dah there that you need to make sure that's still in place when you put the base plate back on. So that's all done. To locate the base plate, you locate this top part first, just here, like that. Push it forward and just press down all around, making sure you're happy that it's located properly, and then just do up all the screws. Now at this part of a demo, I'm normally about to find out if the hose of the vacuum cleaner will reach right up to the top of the stairs with no problem. Well, if I was to use the Bissell Powerglide lift off like this, with the attached hose, and try and reach up the stairs, there's absolutely no way that I'm going to even get halfway with this hose. Maybe 3, 4, at a stretch I might get up 5 stairs, especially if I was to add on the extension tube, as well as the nozzle of course. But because this is a lift off, I don't have to worry about that, because the machine will be coming with me while I clean the stairs. So by pressing the lift off button, we can remove the base unit, and now I've got this fairly portable handheld unit that I can carry with one hand while using the cleaning tool with another. But you can stand it on a stair, it will fit, it'll go that way, is even better. So it will stand on the stair. Put it up a bit higher, might be able to see it a bit better. Up again, shall I? So that actually will stand on the stair while you're using it, but I would suggest actually holding it with your other hand just to keep it from falling over. You don't have to support the weight of it, but just hold on to it. Right, I'll just clean a few stairs. Because this doesn't have the PET turbo tool, if you had the PET version, that's the nozzle I would be using for the stairs, but this only comes with the crevice tool and this 2-in-1 dusting / upholstery tool. So obviously I don't want to use a soft dusting brush on the stairs, so I can remove that. So now I can use a slightly stiffer brush, so I can give my stairs a bit of agitation, which will help bring up the pile, separate the fibres and release the dirt. So without any further ado, let's go up them stairs. Right, so I've got the Bissell Powerglide lift-off suction unit, nice and secure on the steps, about 3 stairs from the top, and I can just support it with one hand while directing this tool with the other. So all in all, it's quite a large portable unit, but it is fairly easy to handle. It does stand on the stairs. So stair cleaning with this, it's not too bad. It's quite straightforward. This nozzle's okay for stair cleaning. You are doing quite a scrubbing forward and back motion. I would like to see a more conventional sort of nozzle, one that's round that way, if you know what I mean, a bit wider. Just, you know, the regular sort of all-purpose nozzle that you tend to get on some cleaners, but often when they're a dual-purpose nozzle, more than 2-in-1 or 3-in-1, they tend to be odd shapes and they're not really conducive to using. But anyway, it's not too bad. The brush does bring the pile up, and of course later if I want to do all the crevices, I can just attach the crevice tool to the end of that and just go around all the edges with the unit as well. Okay then, pros and cons. Should I do the cons first? I will, because I like to end on a positive note, so I'm going to do the cons. The cons, I think the main one is the filtration system. It just does not seem very effective. Let's have another look. You know, in its defence, I did put a lot of dirt down, and the sort of leakage you'd experience in normal use probably wouldn't be so dramatic, but leakage there is. Also, it's not happening so much, but often when I removed the bin, it took the filter unit with it. It's probably not a bad thing, because then you can check how dirty it is. But the filters do get dirty very quickly, but it's not just, I can cope with the filters getting dirty quickly, it's the extra dirt that's spilt round the filters that I don't think is acceptable. Plus, I do not think that the final HEPA filter, it just does not click into place. There's no nice firm click when you put it in, so I think some air will be escaping around the edges of that filter, so it's not going to be as effective as it really should be. What else is wrong with it? Well, despite Bissell saying it's lightweight, I don't find it lightweight at all. There are other cleaners of this genre, such as the Morphy Richards and Shark models, are considerably lighter than this. So if weight is an issue, this machine is a little bit on the hefty side. What else do I have to complain about this machine? I've done the weight, I've done the filter arrangement and the inadequate cyclone efficiency. Well, that really, I would say, is the main two negatives. The main positive of this Powerglide lift-off is its carpet cleaning ability. It probably did better than that Maytag, and I thought the Maytag that I tested a few weeks ago had the most aggressive agitation I've ever seen. But I think when you compare how far the particles bounced on the Maytag video to the particles on the video for this, they seem to bounce up further. So to me it seemed like it was much more aggressive. So for a deep clean, I think this is pretty good. I think it will get your carpets clean, but it's not going to hold on to that dirt as well as some other models. It's going to let some of the dust out. It's such a shame, because it's a good machine performance wise. You know, 4.5 I'm giving it for carpets and 4 for hard floors. So it's good. It's a good performer, but it's let down by so many other things. The lift-off feature, yes, it's a good idea, but this isn't light. This is the heaviest part of the machine. The actual base unit with the power brush is much lighter, but obviously you don't use this part on its own. This part only works when you've got this attached, and this is the bit that you lift off to do your stairs in your car. But like I showed you in the video, it's got a stable flat base. It will stand up on its own. Just hold it to support it. Don't just leave it and then pull it along, because it might fall down the stairs. You can support it, but you don't have to support the weight of it. So that's good. Another major flaw with this, and this is annoying, is the flex is far too short. Probably, I mean, 6 meters is not long enough for most houses. If you've got a tiny house, it might be okay, but a lot of vacuums I've used, you can clean at least 2 rooms with one socket, but with this one I had to unplug and plug in every room. When I did the hard floor test in the sunroom, normally I could plug the vacuum into the living room and it'd be fine, but it wouldn't stretch. I had to plug it into the kitchen, which is nearer, so that's not good. So it needs a longer flex on it really, at least another 2 meters, but preferably another 4 meters of flex would make this more versatile, because that's the whole point of this lift-off unit. It's designed to be portable, it's designed to be carried around wherever you need to take it. But if you're stuck because the flex won't reach and you're having to use extension cords, then that's not good either. Also, another little niggle is the fact that only this tube and crevice tool will store on board. The other tool you get, there's nowhere for it, so that'll get lost. Unless, of course, it probably would fit there. So you could put the other tool there if you don't use these tools, or if you find you don't use the crevice tool much. There's nothing to stop you doing that if that's the tool you use most. But again, another drawback, and it just seems silly to me that the fact that the tools, you don't use the tools with the base unit. You can actually use the machine with it attached to the base unit. You can use the tools if you just need to grab the hose and just get something out the corner. But when you're normally using this in lift-off mode, there's no tools attached to the unit, so you're still having to go back to find the tools. So Bissell need to make this lighter, they need to give it tool storage on the lift-off pod, they need to improve the efficiency of the cyclone and filter, and I've been told that it's a common fault with many Bissell vacuums that they're not very good at filtering out the dust. So I can't recommend it in its current form. It's got potential, it's a good design, seems fairly solid, but it's just not, it doesn't cut the mustard for me. If you can pick one up though, for the price I paid for this one, with the extra discount, $62.99, it might be worth a punt if you haven't got much money to spend. This will certainly outperform many cleaners. Under £100, I would say that this is one of the better performing cleaners, but there are a lot of other drawbacks about it. But that is at the sale price. If this was at the recommended retail price, which is 260 something, I would never buy it. It's far too expensive. But saying that, I'm not going to get rid of it, I'm keeping it, because I'm a sucker for a vacuum cleaner that beats the carpet as well as that one does. Not since the early days of having proper beta bars on a vacuum have I seen such a bounce, and I like to see a bounce. And I like to see the carpet lifted and vibrated. But anyway, it's a shame. So, if I was to give it out of 5, I'd have to say, it's tricky. At the price I paid, I'd give it 3 out of 5. If you're paying full price, I'd give it 2, to say, if you've got 260 odd pound, there are far better machines out there. But anyway, I'm going to use it some more. I might sum up underneath this video after I've had a chance just to use it regularly without doing the full test. So I'm going to whip around the house, use it a few times, and just keep an eye on the dirt that's on the filter and behind the bin where it seemed to gather. Well, that's it for now. If you've liked this video, found it useful, please subscribe and you'll be updated when I upload any new videos on floor care products. See you soon.